us. She can tell us anything. If someone is saying to you out there that you, like, she braided her hair. A little boy told her that she has a big forehead. And you know what I did? I told her when she sees the boy the next day, she needs to say the same thing. Pick a feature and tell him something.
Tit for tat.
Tit for tat. Now, some parents might disagree with me, but that put a stop to the bullying because it was already affecting her. She was saying, Mom, do I have a big forehead? And I'm like, no, you don't, Zoe. Why do you keep saying that? Then she told us what this boy said. And I said, well, pick something that you don't really like about him and point it out. But don't bully. Just say, oh, you know, you also have this and this. And so we give her words, empower her. So, for example, I told her, say, you know, you have this and this. I don't like it, but I'm not telling you in a mean way how you told me. Now, Zoe and that boy, they're friends. They play together. So I think bullying is a conversation that has to happen every day, ongoing. Talk to your child. Let them know what are the limitations. Don't let this person tell you that your hair is shaggy. Teach them to embrace who they are, the African in them, the natural hair that we have, the looks that we got, the big lips. People are getting Botox to have these big lips.
African lips.
Yeah, but yet a few years ago, people are being bullied for the same African lips.
Brings up a very good point because a lot of these kids of immigrant parents are caught in, I think, I'll say two worlds, but it's almost like three worlds.
Mm-hmm.
There's the world of reality where they are.
Yes.
Then there's the world of how everybody sees them in terms of their peers, and then there's the way their parents see them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't know where to be, and it gets to a point where there's too much noise, and it goes fatal attraction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to the other side where it should never go. And, you know, we end up being called to support parents of who have a toy who's no longer there.
Okay, let's go to the U.S. schooling system.
Okay.
Which is one of the big elephants in the room that new African parents must deal with when they're here and they're confronted by the schooling system, which is entirely different from the systems that we have back in Kenya and back in other African countries. Now, let's go back to maybe the 15, 20 years ago, when now you're at the point our kids are going to school. What were some of the things that shocked or confused you when you got to contact with the American education system? Let me start with you, Nginda.
A lot. I want to say, especially when, in elementary school, at least for me, when we were going to grade 1, grade 2, we never had any homework. I don't ever recall having a lot of homework. It was mostly like, little pictures, and then you're told, actually, I don't even remember. Thank you. So what struck me was the sheer amount of homework that Kehanya and Rehema would come home with. And then as they progressed, so the American system have this whole thing called GT. I guess it's gifted and talented program that they put the kids. So instead of being in that grade, the child is in 4th grade, something like that. So they would come home with a lot of homework with no explanation, like they were taught in class. Now they have to do the homework. And I am here sitting at home trying to do my own homework, and now I have to stop and help them. And I could not figure out, and it sounds silly because it's grade 2, grade 3 homework, but some of the things I couldn't even figure out how to do them.
Like the long math.
Yes, exactly. Like the math.
You knew how to do log tables.
But that math is bad. I've seen parents struggle.
Yes.
Because our math as we were taught and the math as they are expected to do
it's taught in a different way.
It's a totally different
thing.
thing.
It's very different.
And even kids are set back with the math. In fact, the homework is sometimes, my niece was complaining that the teacher tore up her stuff and the mom had to basically go to school and confront the teacher.
Okay.
Because even the mom who was taught here in American system knew the old way of doing math and was trying to do it that way. And then they're told, okay, do it the long way and show me how you get to where you're going. And they were like, no, this is the answer. And so it brought a whole, lot of confusion.
Okay.
It can be very confusing. Even English, like their homework would be like, what is the long vowel? I don't know. I don't know what that is. So it took me and Gofu just learning, like literally buying a book for grade 4. I remember going to Barnes and Noble and buying the book and literally acting like I'm the teacher so I can be able to teach my kids. They don't know that. They never knew what I was doing. But and like they would say, but you guys speak English, why are you not able to help me? It was never about the English. It's the American system.
It was just very different.
Wow.
Very, very
the
different.
philosophy
That
was
is
very
something
different.
new for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Baba Rehema, was the experience the same for you, or what is it that shocked you when you got in contact with this American schooling system?
Wow. Accountability. The American system is very systematic. You are accountable. As a parent, you are actually part of this class. I remember initially, you know how, as she said, we didn't care about homework.
Yeah.
So
we cared, but we didn't know.
We didn't know about homework that much.
Yeah.
And then
we would just copy. Some of us will just copy.
Then you realize your child is failing because homework is part of the bigger picture.
The overall. Yes.
Right, and then the child is also the child is taught in school how to be accountable. They are challenging you. They know their rights, and the kid is telling you things, and you are like wowed. But as they get to older, in the system of school, they are very outspoken. They have a lot of things they know, and I think for me, one of the things that really shocked me is the fact that a child can fail because the parent is not participating in the child's academia.
Okay, so basically,
because for us, if you look in Kenya, I've never had my mother sit down with me to even review my homework.
That's true.
That's true.
Mother or father.
I think only to teach us tables. I'm to have you memorize.
No,
at least that was my experience.
Yeah.
And
just the tables.
Right, and the grades are accumulative. You if you miss a step, the child can actually fail. And then you have a conference. And then can you imagine as a parent going to a conference when your child is failing?
Both of you are failed.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like you failed.
Both of you are failed. Yeah. You didn't show up for your child.
You can imagine
it was interesting. And by the way, a lot of children fail until a lot of African parents realize, wait, I need to be part of this. I'm a student.
I have to show up at school.
I am a student.
Yes.
You have to advocate for your child's education. You have to engage with the teachers. You have to attend school meetings. You have to support their academic goals.
The PTA.
Find out what is the goal for this term.
Right.
Marking period. They call them the marking period. What is the goal for this marking period? Do all these things and realize that you have to be fully involved.
I think that's one area where especially African parents who are thrown into this system without knowing is something they really need to be schooled on. That you have to be hands-on in the school, in the schooling system.
Yes. Right.
That's one thing that I think there's still a lack of awareness by some Kenyan parents, and I think this is something that needs to be drilled because now we have a lot of experience. We have people who've raised their kids here, that have graduated high school, they're in college now, so there's a lot of experience. I can imagine at that time when there was no experience, the only experience that you have is what you did when you were back home, and you don't know what you don't know. If you're out there doing double shifts, you don't know that someone needs to be out there for school meetings.
Yes.
Someone needs to be in contact with a teacher. Yeah. Someone needs to be, there are so many things that you have to do together with your student. And I think that's kind of what they've been trying to replicate in Kenya in a very terrible way because Kenya has different realities
and learning ways.
You have parents who are not literate. You have parents who cannot understand. So I think it's very problematic in Kenya, but I think out here in America, I mean, it's tough also for parents who who are low income and working 2-3 jobs. It's not an easy thing to do, but it will have an impact on the performance of your child. However smart your child is, if you do not participate, it will have an impact. The other interesting thing that also was brought up by Rehema and Jide is people being placed in ESOL classes. And these are classes, for those who don't know what ESOL is, these are classes for people who are they're learning English as a foreign language.
Yes.
Yeah. So, some Kenyan parents, because they're not aware of what's happening, when they fill in those forms, they feel English as the second or maybe even the third language. Then automatically, a child who's very fluent in English is placed in ESOL.
006.
So I think that's also an issue that
006.
That's the community code. 006.
But that's why you have to be truly involved. That's why you have to go to the school, show your presence, walk through that door of, I was gonna say my daughter's school, but I won't. So walk through that door of St. James Academy. Let them know that Rehema, Zoe, Kehanya have a parent who is present,
and
who
cares.
is caring, who is involved.
Advocate.
Don't let your child sit there and always look like they don't have a parent. No, you're there. God has given you that child. Be present for that child. I'm a firm believer that if there's a parent meeting, trust me, I'm going to be there. If there's a party where parents are welcome, I'm going to be there. Halloween, which is something I'm not really sure what we celebrate, but my daughter loves Halloween. I go for her parades. I take photos. I am engaged in the class. You would think I was truly an American, born here with the Halloween thing. But why do I do these things? Because I want my child to know that my mom and my dad, they're very involved. I want that teacher, when she's calling Zoe, to remember that I know Zoe's mom. And I know she's going to come here if I'm doing something wrong to her daughter. Not that she is, but that's important.
But it does
you have to be involved.
It does happen.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add also is that the teachers are very observant.
Yes.
If your child, let's say you forget lunch for your child. You pack your lunch or they can buy it.
Yeah.
Or your child maybe have a little scratch. They could be in a fall. What happened is they start thinking maybe the home dynamics,
the home environment,
are not okay.
Yeah.
So
there's an abusive parent.
Right, those are things in Africa. Nobody, you go down there, you fall on top of a tree, and you go to school.
Whatever.
There you go. Here, a small thing can lead to a conference.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about maybe taking the child away.
Yeah. Child protective
services. A child can say something to a teacher. My dad
hit me.
That now is an event.
And that becomes an event.
So for parents, especially when you're new here, watch what you tell your child. Because the small things we say or do can lead to a big thing. And maybe you don't even mean it. It's our culture. As my wife just said, we have to be our children advocate, especially new parents who just came here. Their kids have an accent. Unless you want a green card and you are here now, that's another level of, there are kids from African parents who are born here. Those are American kids.
Yeah.
But we have other kids
who come in middle school.
Right. Imagine you are 12 from Kenya or any other African country and you have an accent. Now you are put in the
and a funny name.
Right.
Yes.
And now
the name
you are thrown in the
bottom of the barrel.
Right.
So
on
bullying
top
happens.
Of other African Kenyan kids. Now you are on a lower level because you're compromised. You have an accent. You are new.
Wow.
You are new. So in fact, those are the kids that get bullied. Bullied
the most.
And they need more. Parents need to be more involved. Unfortunately, the parents are also new. They don't know.
They don't know what they don't know.
So you can only imagine those dynamics.
Wow.
Right.
You guys bring up an interesting thing. So was there kind of like a I was gonna say an immigrants association, like amongst the parents. The parents form an informal group where they kind of like kept with each other. Because I noticed that when I went for my nephew's, what is it? Is it 5th grade? That when they're gonna go to 5th grade? Is that the next elementary, right?
No,
it's graduation.
5th is middle school. After
they
5th,
so
then you go to
now they're
middle
going
school.
to middle school, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed the parents, the Kenyan parents who had kids in that school. It's like they had their own WhatsApp group and they were going to have like a ceremony or a party the next day at the park or something like that. But they kept tabs with each other and it's almost like they kept themselves accountable. They had their own little group. So did you guys have that type of experience? Or well, yeah, I know, but was there some informal?
I mean, I have to say, we used to take our children to a centralized babysitting place.
Yes.
Mama
So,
Mogo.
Mama Mogo, shout out to Mama Mogo. So we would be able to meet there when we were picking our kids, talk. That was like
compare
our meeting,
notes.
meeting point.
I honestly think diaspora groups, we need to advance. We've been here for so many years.
Correct. Yes.
You know, and some of the issues that are discussed in diaspora groups are still at that level.
Infantile.
Are still at that infantile level. So there needs to be an advancement whereby, like, is there a new parent? Let's create, you know, like a checklist for them.
A cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet for them, you know, because now there's a lot of people who've
this
gone
is
through
how you
these
turn on.
experiences.
This is how you get your utilities.
Yes.
This is how you. It's crucial because if you don't have that support system,
it's very critical because you don't know what you don't know. When a child comes home and tells you that I'm being bullied, when you're a new parent here,
what does that mean?
It doesn't make sense to you.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, they're like, even me, I was bullied.
It doesn't make sense to you.
Yes.
Monolization, guys.
I was also monolized. Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to you. So I think there needs to be like a chaperone for these people who are new parents, you know, like who either did not go through the American schooling system or they're just fresh here, because we still have them and there's still a repetition of the same mistakes. We are seeing, you know, there's a lot of our kids who are doing well, but there's also a lot of our kids who have also gone wayward
and are lost.
Who are lost. Who we've seen some of them, you know, like be arrested and gone to jail. You know, we've seen them. We've seen how easy it is for them to get lost in the system. And it's not that the parents are bad, but it's not that the parents don't care. It's just that there were certain things that were basic, but they did not know what they were looking for or what they were not looking for. So I think that is a very important aspect, you know, like beyond just meeting for pre-weddings.
But you see sometimes
and
of course you have to go there, but it's okay.
No, sure you guys are paying attention.
No, it's okay.
But you know, yes, we could do this as Kenyans, but we can also appreciate and embrace what America has to offer people here. So just because, our culture, Kenyan culture, Nigerian culture, all we do as parents is push education. I want you to go, I want you to get A's, I want you to go to these colleges, I want you to do all these things. And in between, we fail to understand that education is important and education is crucial for our growth. However, education is not all about books. Growth is not only academic. We have to encourage hobbies like sports or any other activities that the kids might enjoy, whether that might be dancing, whether just be supportive of their passions.
But surely dancing in a Kenyan house.
So yes.
And
this is my challenge. You see,
this
is my challenge to immigrant parents from all walks of life. I always say, let your child want to dance, put her in a dance group 2 days a week. You're gonna go meet other parents there. Talk to those parents. That way you're not just thinking like a Kenyan. You know, open up your view, your world view. Let it not just be a Kenyan view, because you're no longer in Kenya. You live in US. So embrace what America have to offer. Some of these things might be expensive, like soccer. We've been soccer parents for 20-something years. But then there's also the rec, which could be cheaper option. there are plays that are offered by different schools. If your child like theater, even if it's a boy, for those parents that feel like, oh, my child is not going to be a dancer because he's a boy, let him dance. He might actually escape depression because he's dancing. And that's okay. Embrace all these other activities out there.
Repeat that again, please. Repeat that again.
What I'm saying.
No, repeat. That's a very profound statement.
I'm very passionate when it comes to kids, and I always say, let the child do what they want to do. So if you have a son, and your son tells you that I want to go and dance, I want to be a dancer, don't be that Kenyan father saying, dancing where? In my house? No.
Why are you pointing at Lawrence, though?
I'm just saying, you're the man here. I'm saying, buy him that mic, empower him and say, you know what, Jason, go dance. Because maybe by dancing, he's going to release the tension and all the other feelings he might be feeling and not get depressed.
Okay, all right.
Mental health. She brings up a very good point because a lot of these kids of immigrant parents are caught in, I think, I'll say two worlds, but it's almost like three worlds.
Mm-hmm.
There's the world of reality where they are.
Yes.
Then there's the world of how everybody sees them in terms of their peers. And then there's the way their parents see them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't know where to be. And it gets to a point where there's too much noise and it goes fatal attraction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to the other side where it should never go. And, we end up being called to support parents of who have a toy who's no longer there.
And now talk about kids who are being raised in a Muslim household.
Oh, it's even worse.
Sorry, you add religion. Yes, I was going to say add religion.
There's a fourth dynamic.
Yes, add religion.
Not religion. I'm going to talk about Islam because Christianity is the religion that most people are practicing.
But Ali, religion is religion, but Islam could be on the other side of the spectrum. I guess so, yes.
I'll tell you, it is a very, very different experience. And that's why I've always said, I would love to interview kids. Some of us, we came here as Muslims, but as grown-ups.
Correct.
But I'd love to, talk to these kids who are born, where you're navigating, the different identities of you're an African, you're an immigrant, and then now you also have your Muslim identity, and then now you have to navigate also the rest of the world. It's very interesting. I mean, of course, things have improved.
Correct.
Things have improved for us over the years, but there was a lot of issues, that some of our children were experiencing that we're going to talk about. Washeke brings a very important point before we leave this topic. She's saying, can we talk about the need to always believe our children when they have been accused of something? The way we grew up in Kenya, parents tended to believe teachers more than the children, and in America, that can be detrimental due to biases and racism. Is this something that maybe you guys have had to deal with as parents? Because back home, it was whatever the teacher said. That was gospel. That was the truth.
Yeah.
But out here, you have to move differently.
So, right.
With what the teacher says.
I think we had this conversation with Lawrence.
Yeah.
We were like, go ahead.
It's true. Again, it comes back to culture, where we came from and where we are. Right. A child can come to you, your son or your daughter can come to you and say something to you. Like something happened to me. Back in our villages and in our schools, you don't even say it.
The teacher is right.
Not even, you can't even. Also, you can't even report anything.
No, you can't.
You can't. By default.
In fact, you don't even want your parents to know.
No.
No,
my
you
friend.
don't. But here is a different place.
Yeah.
And she have a good point that you have to give your children a chance. You have to listen to both sides. You have to wait. And you actually, sometimes you're forced to
confront
the school.
Yeah.
We have done that. We have done that.
Yeah.
That's why, as you said, advocacy. You have to go to school and say, this and this, and my daughter is saying this and this happened. Is it true or not? Why is my daughter's grades not reflecting?
Yeah.
Why is my daughter, when she put her head up, she didn't get picked? Because they come to me. My daughter come to me, Dad, I keep putting my head up and my name is not being called. And I say, no, maybe the teacher cannot see you. At some point, you will have to say, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm so sorry. Then the next day she'll come happy because she was picked.
Yeah.
Such a small thing make a big difference to a child.
Confidence.
Don't
Yes.
don't accept
Don't-
the status
no,
quo of
no.
saying that John, just a student's name, is bad. He's disrupting class. Your child is doing ABCD. Sign this paper. As a parent, don't agree to that.
No.
You have to advocate for your child. You have to fight for your child.
And-
We've never had to do that, but you may even have to go to that school and say, I want to see where my child sits, and I want to see who are these kids who are accusing my child. Because American system, like Lawrence said, they keep a record of everything.
Some small things, right?
Little things. Your child is graduating, but he's marked as somebody who disturbs the norm. You don't want that.
But let me ask. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I'm asking this. I have to ask.
Okay.
Is there? Because when I'm hearing such statements and such convictions, something for me pops up. And I know I can see this
Yeah,
guy, and I'm heading there. Does this have something to do with origin?
There could be a bias. That's why.
Is there a bias?
Like a racial bias?
Right, that's what you have.
Is there a bias?
They could be.
Okay.
But with bias, we can expand that. But is there a bias? Because I'm thinking, like now, for example, if I'm giving an example, if let's say Zoe, an example, raising her hand and not being picked, is it a bias? Like,
I think
I
individual
don't know.
teachers.
That's
I
the whole
don't
point of
know.
not you advocate.
Yeah.
You do advocacy because
Yeah.
you don't.
Thank
you
you.
don't know.
You don't know.
So you are worried about your child.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think the teachers are sensitive to what parents say, and they know the parents
Yes,
who are active.
yes,
And if the
yes.
parent has come and said something specific, it could be an unconscious bias
Right.
that maybe even the teacher innocently did not
Correct.
know. But now
Exactly.
because you as a parent
Now-
came, she's like, okay, maybe I need to be
I need to
aware
do
of
you
better.
have to keep them
Yes.
in check. You have to keep them in check. You
Yeah.
have to have
I'll-
these,
I'll give you an
these checks
example.
and balances because what you just said is true. Even the teachers don't know what they are doing at times.
Right.
They might
overwhelmed.
actually be overwhelmed, or they might have a bias towards certain kids.
Thank you for saying that, because you know what?
And
Sometimes
that's the problem.
Yeah.
they default.
Yeah.
They default to their programming.
I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. So my daughter came the other day and was very upset, and I was like, "What's going on?" She had a 69 in a D on a test, and I said, "That's not like you." She was not feeling well. So I noticed then she said some people when they don't do well, they do repeat the test.
A makeup.
Or
They have
they
a
do a
makeup.
makeup test.
There's
Yeah.
a makeup.
Right. So I said, okay, maybe the teacher will give you a makeup test, but the teacher forgot or whatever. So me, being a parent, I'm sending the teacher a message.
He's on it.
Yeah, my daughter
Need
A's,
a makeup class.
have A's. What's up with the D? You need a makeup. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have sent this to her. You see? Now, if you don't say anything, that D sticks there.
And it's the end of the term,
Right,
and that
right.
goes,
Yeah.
It goes-
and it
Yeah.
continue, and it's a
Right,
rolling
right,
plus
right.
confidence of the
Right,
child.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go. Now
man.
other kids have A's. She have a D. All she's gonna remember is everybody have an A, I have a D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that's interesting. And
Wow.
Tabitha here says bias can be conscious and unconscious.
unconscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then hapa
The unconscious one is the one that really
Yeah.
bothers
Yes.
me.
Yeah, I see hapa Njiru Maura is tuned in anasema tuko, and then Wangeshike says, you've talked a lot about the elementary and middle school experience. What about your reflection on parenting first generation Americans through school, college, through high school, college, and beyond? I think you guys are
Okay.
still actively on that college,
Yeah.
on that college part. Was there anything different that you saw, like when once Isaac and Rehema transitioned into high school?
Into high school and college, you mean?
Yes, into
From
high school and
to
college.
You want me to go? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I have to say, it goes so fast. Parents have to be prepared. You know, your child is in high school, first year, you're thinking, I have 4 years. By the time you know it, the child is
In
here.
college.
I'm ready to go to college.
Yeah.
So I can actually urge parents to be prepared. It goes so fast. It's not cheap. I'm sorry I have to say that. It's not cheap. And
No,
I've seen
that's
seen
important.
Kids, I've seen kids who actually don't make it to college and they're very upset. It's a sad situation.
Is this grades or because of
no,
financial?
Finance.
Yeah, it goes financial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the gap between first year high school,
Yes.
you get 4 years.
Which is nothing.
And if you're working as a parent, you're moving, you're broti maguta, all that stuff. You do not realize how fast that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next thing you're seeing is prom. Then the next thing, the child is here.
I need to go to
I
college.
need to college.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And they're
Community college.
Right. So
how?
your child go to community college. That's good. And their friends go to whatever, Princeton or whatever. Now they are thinking, why did my... those are the sentiments.
And their grades are good enough to get them there.
Yes.
Now I have an idea because I've seen this dynamic in our extended family. I think it is very important for parents to make aware once these kids start growing of the family's financial situation.
Right.
Not all families have the same financial situation.
Correct.
I think there's a lot of ways in which the high college cost can be mitigated. One of them is community college. Another one is through scholarships.
It's planning. I was about to go there.
Yes.
When your child goes to first year of high school, start planning.
No, first year of elementary school.
Even
Yes.
better.
Okay.
Yes.
Start planning.
Start
early.
planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some programs like 529.
Yes.
You can start saving. You can start exploring scholarships, as you said. You can engage your child to sports. They might get, you don't know. But plan ahead of time because college here is very expensive.
Yes.
And children have dreams. Maybe your child dream is not to go to community college.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the community college, but sometimes kids, if they don't meet their goals, they just get crushed.
Yeah, they get crushed.
They're not
Yeah.
thinking.
I want a gap year.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
thinking.
But that's why I think it's important to make your children, despite of their dreams.
right.
I think
right.
you also have to be realistic.
Right. That's
and,
planning.
And if you're both parents and you're on minimum wage,
Planning,
you
planning.
can't afford to take your child even to a college that's
Harvard.
That's forget about Harvard. Harvard is
it's
on another level. Me, I'm talking even of
CCBC, Community College of Baltimore County, although it's free now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You go free.
Now
Yeah,
that's
it is
good.
free.
There's a way.
I have a sister who has a scholarship at Loyola, but I look at that, like they give you the statement
But the money,
of how much the school
there's
costs.
still money
Yeah.
on top of the scholarship.
There's still money that
Right.
you have to pay on top
Right.
of the scholarships,
Right.
and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Chakula C scholarship.
This is something that we could have never like afforded.
Yes.
And those are the things that I think because sometimes when you're going to school with Heather and Amber and
Right.
Jake,
Right.
who have a trust fund from their grandfather,
Great grandfather.
Great grandfather.
from their
actually.
great grandfather.
Yeah.
You're not in this.
Yeah.
You're in the
And
same public school.
They
Yes.
have 10 Tiffany spoons.
Yes, you're in the same public school, but
And they
you're not
have
in the
what?
same
10
level.
Tiffany spoons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that they are, see, they're
those-
given a spoon
Yeah.
every year
So,
for their birthday.
Those are the,
make the set.
things that parents need to talk about
Yeah,
and plan ahead of time.
yeah,
Let your child know Let your child know too your situation.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not little kids
Yeah.
anymore. They are 14,
Yeah.
15. You can tell them, look, I cannot afford Princeton or Harvard, but
yeah,
I can afford this and this.
yeah,
Are they enough? Because you don't want them when they're talking with their friends, when they're showing off,
yeah,
Also, there's nothing wrong with community college. You get that 2-year degree.
yeah.
When you go to a 4-year, it's the same thing. I think sometimes we get caught up, as you said,
With the brand name schools.
yes, and also I feel like sometimes we don't make a decision as immigrants.
Alina.
Are you
Early
are
enough.
you here or are you in like Kenya?
Yeah.
That whole thing
Oh
of-
no,
that
he
thing-
didn't
that
go
whole-
there.
that whole-
Mahuta
No,
or
he didn't go
or-
there.
Oh no, wait.
Are you
That- no,
Bahutaing or are
actually,
you
no,
here?
no, not that part. The whole point I'm trying to make is
Yeah,
when you say people say they are going back all the
Yeah.
time. I was telling almost, I'm going back.
yeah.
I'm going back from day one when you land here.
You're always
Your
going
child
back.
is 15.
20
you're going
years
back.
later, you're
20
here.
years back, you're going
You're
back.
going back
I'm
next
going
year.
back next year.
Yeah.
I'm going
Your
back
child
home.
is 14. I'm going back.
Yeah.
Your child is 16. I'm going back. Your child, right? So you don't plan here,
It means
Yeah.
you're never here.
right? So you're like you're
Yeah.
Transition.
What-
Look in
And that
between.
goes back to my point where I said we have to realize our kids are American.
right.
Yes.
And
Right.
by them being American, we have to put things in place like your fellow neighbor who's an American.
Right.
What have they put in place for their children? If there's 401k, get into it. But to answer the question, she wanted to know about what is our take about high school. Even before you get to college, I want to say, in my opinion, and I love you, Rehema, Kehanya, and now Zoe. I know when I get home, I'll hear something.
Okay.
But in my opinion, high school years are the most difficult for the children. And that's across the board, whether it's Kenya or America. But especially here, high school years are the most difficult. You know why? Kids are going through the
changes,
the hormonal changes,
whatever.
the transitions. They're getting from being that little girl to a full-grown woman, from that little boy to a full-grown man. They want to talk back at you because they might be taller than you. And they also might be questioning why you're disciplining them, because a lot of our Kenyan households, we believe in the discipline, how we grow up. Like, don't talk back at me, don't ask questions. And those years, those formative years in high school are very difficult, because when Kenya want to hear an answer from me, I am taking it as you're talking back. But they're growing up, and they're growing up in an American culture where they have so much freedom, and they've been told from day one, you need to ask questions. So they come back, they ask you questions, you think they're challenging you. You start yelling at them. I always say, for us, I think there has to be a balance of both cultures. We have to have empathy as parents. We have to listen. We have to think, why does this child want to go to a movie at 7:30 p.m.?
Sleepover.
I struggled a lot with things like going, simple things as going to a movie. I'm thinking, why were you home all day on a Saturday, but now it's 8 p.m. and you want to go to the movie?
Gidai Meiva.
So I would get really upset, and I would say, go, talk to them. It's, because I don't want to be the bad one. And then finally, it comes down to the clash of cultures. Kihanya and Rehema, they were able to sit us down and say, this is our time to go hang with our friends. We all organize the movies at 7:30 so we can all meet at the Avenue and go watch the movie. But my Kenyan mind, I'm thinking, when I was 15, would I even leave my father's compound and come back?
In Muranga. How?
With both legs?
How? And the country bus stops moving at 4 p.m.
Yes, exactly. And then kids want to have their own vehicles. They want to drive. I think Gofu started teaching them to drive when they were like 16, both of them.
16,
And they both can tell you that was my biggest struggle as a parent. I'm thinking now they have vehicles. They're out there. Where are they? I mean, I was almost like a helicopter parent where I want to feel like I want to put a GPS tracker to know where they are.
You didn't work a camera?
I did not, because, luckily, as you can tell, I am more paranoid. He's more calm. So he would.
So you balance each other.
We balance each other very well. He would calm me down and say,
yes, believe you me.
They're going to drive. What are you going to do? They need to learn how to drive. Let them have the vehicle.
And you'd rather teach them how to drive than they go to learn from someone else.
In someone else's car. When there are 88 of them in that car.
And that's a struggle I would have as an uncle.
Yes.
Because me and this one would always go at loggerheads.
Yes.
Because me, I'm defending my niece and my nephew, but I'm seeing the bigger picture. At some point, I would not understand where she's coming from. But then I would tell Isaac and I would tell Rehema, listen, your mother will always see you as that small baby that she held in her hands. Always.
Yes.
And I'm like, you have to understand that. But let me see if I can try and fight you for you on this one.
No.
The father is like, let me step far back. I don't want the bloodbath. And sometimes we'd go at loggerheads. But
it's those high school years when they're starting to know, I can drive. I can go to my friend's house.
Yes.
I can do all these things.
And part of, for me also, the lack of knowledge disadvantaged me because I'm not seeing her concern. All I'm seeing is, these guys are growing. Can you let them manage my challenges?
And
blocker.
And just to add, he just brought a good point. Your children have to have somebody they can confine to, other than you and me and her.
They have to have a neutral.
Right. Because there are so many things I don't know about, like my son. He knows. And I don't want to know. See? If you have a kid, especially a boy child, I would say, have that uncle.
Have a trusted uncle.
That uncle.
And we discussed this even with Rehema. Like, because even in the show when they were here, so Lawrence is that guy who's some kids would meet, like you said, in the basement. In your
Yeah,
basement,
I've met
they will
talk.
talk to you. They
Yeah.
will talk to him. His parents may not. I mean,
Right,
his
right.
kids will
Oh,
not.
I've
But his
lot of
kids
stuff, yeah.
will find a trusted source because
Yeah,
not because
it's
they don't love them,
important,
but it's because they're like, you know what? Let me talk to the uncle.
Yeah.
Let me give you an
Yeah.
example. Yeah. So Kehanya was going for. It was about the prom time. The parents were not allowing them. They wanted them to get the clip-on earrings.
No, she, not me. No, correction.
So
didn't want them to have- yeah,
So
yeah.
Priscilla wanted them to get clip-on earrings.
No earrings, I guess.
And
Yeah.
they're like, of course, you know, they're no. So for some reason, these guys went, they did a forensic audit. And they found pictures. And they found pictures of a human with a stud.
Of Moturi and Gofu with studs. They used to have earrings.
Yes,
So
yeah.
that gave
These
them-
two guys have been earring
Yes,
chaps for a long
yes.
time.
Yeah.
So apparently they were shocked. So the parents were approached.
Yeah.
And you're saying we cannot
what's up?
statue.
What's
So
up?
they probably went to get that together.
So-
they went to get that
No,
together.
so-
They did. These
Yeah.
two when they were younger. Yeah.
So
That's so funny.
and so fortunately, so I get a call like, hey uncle, hey, what's up? Hey, I'm trying to do this. Or, hey, sure, come through. At this point in junction, at this point, I know mother is going to cause a ruckus.
Yeah.
But because I'm like, let me inject. So my nephew calls me, like, hey uncle, come pick me up. I'll go whatever. So he goes, he gets he studs, comes back. So he goes home. Mother, fuming.
But you know,
but
yeah.
but again, this to say sometimes again, you know, like
Yeah.
a mother when a mother
But one mic, that's okay. I feel like
no but
as a parent,
yes.
I have grown. I have matured a lot through my kids. My older two, they've taught me a lot. How to be a parent, how to be a mother, how to be empathetic, how to
Patience.
listen, because listening is key.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I was a young mom, I wasn't always listening to hear. I was listening
To respond.
respond
Yeah.
very quickly without even knowing like what they're saying. I already have an answer. Mom, can I? No. Mom, no. My answer was always no. Or we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. And then finally, as they got older, they challenged me. Not mostly the dad, because I know I am the one who was like that. And they opened my eyes to say, Mom, we can have a conversation. Can we talk about this? Can we talk? And so I'm like, yeah, we can talk. But I struggled a lot to actually acknowledge that this 16-year-old
And
want to talk to me and I am supposed to listen.
to support her
Yeah.
point, I remember one time my mom came to visit me. I was 19 when she came to visit. And at that point in time, and the reason I was relating with Isaac is because at some point in time I was him. I
Yeah.
was 16,
Yeah.
17 and nilikuwa na dready. And I had dreads and I had hoops in my earrings. So when my mom came,
Did you remove them?
no, I did not.
But she gave him a lecture and a
No,
half.
she gave me a
Yeah.
lecture and everything,
upset.
and she was, oh yeah, we were together
Yeah.
because we had gone to this place, not far from here, this Water World over here.
Oh, yeah.
Not Hashi Park, the other one.
What a country.
No,
USA.
Six Flags.
Six Flags.
Ah.
Six
So
Flags.
Mother Hazusha, so I asked her, Mom, you know me, yes? Am I a bad person? No. You've known me yeah. So does this make me a bad person? She
What-
kept quiet.
Why are you asking many questions?
No, I had to ask because I was 19. I could
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
And that and from that for me that was the lesson, because I'm like, I know Isaac, I know Rehema, I know them, and I've been there, and I'm looking at Geda, I'm looking at us like my mom, and I'm like, I think you need to sort of open up a little bit to understand your kids, because I have been where your kids have been.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
But
It's
there was
a journey,
something-
yeah.
There was also something that Michelle Obama said, like, I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was very profound also, which is now to Genda, like, don't necessarily feel bad, because even that process where you were saying no, there was something that you were teaching your children. Because Michelle was saying a mistake some parents make is that you give your children everything they want, and then their first rejection is when
they don't know what to do.
They don't know what rejection is.
They don't. Yeah.
So they grow up with an entitlement mentality.
Yes.
So that's how they start dealing with people when they go to the outside world,
Yes.
when they go to college, when they go to the workplace. So they wonder, how come everyone is against me? But
Yeah.
it's because they're going out with that entitlement.
It's like the
mentality.
participation trophy.
Yeah,
Which I don't like, but-
So those are some of the things, and like, also it's also important to acknowledge within this American system, there's a lot of good things, but also not everything is good.
Exactly.
100%.
So I think it's also important to identify
Yes.
what it is that's not right. One thing that I've noticed is that is lacking with Americans in general, because of the system they're in and how they've been taught. And it's great. Advocate for yourself. Do challenge. But now the problem is that there are situations in life where you're supposed to, where it's in your interest to follow blindly. For example, if you're in a desert and you've been dropped in there and you don't know the way, and you found someone who knows the area, it's in your best interest to follow where that person will tell you where the water is. So now with Americans, they sometimes have a challenge when it comes to information, where people start challenging, and we see it on social media. People start challenging. People will even challenge a doctor. You've never gone to medical school, but they'll challenge a doctor. This vaccine, it doesn't work. And you're a guy sitting in your basement, but you're out challenging a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's one issue that sometimes I have a feeling it has to do with the system here in America, where you're taught to challenge, where you're saying COVID doesn't exist. You're a guy who sits playing Draft King or in your basement, but you're going out there arguing with people who have
Who
people
know
who are
the
medical
facts,
experts,
who know the data.
So that's one extreme
Yeah.
that sometimes, like this thing of challenge all the time is important also to like teach your children, like, it's important to do this. But then there's certain situations, especially where maybe you're dealing with an expert, there's certain situations where it's important for you to step back and listen and try to find out.
Balance.
Balance.
The other challenge is, in America, information is at your fingertips. Even the kids. A child will go into YouTube and search anything. If I challenge my child, even my 9-year-old, I say something, she will go back and search. Come back to me and say, Dad, you told me ABC, but that's not true. Based on information that is on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be the truth.
That's a new dynamic.
So that's another dynamic that is coming up. AI, Wi-Fi everywhere. Kids can go and search.
Excuse me, I think you're being very, very polite. I get a phone call. This guy is calling me.
Yeah, right, that's true.
Zoe has a question for you.
She always does that.
And I'm like, okay, go ahead, Zoe. And the question she's going to ask, this election.
Yeah, she did.
Why are people, what is it? What is wrong with, and I'm like, this is a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 17.
No.
9.
That's a new dynamic.
Why
She is
new.
challenging.
Or
It's
why
new.
Chinese stuff is here, but America and China, remember?
Yes.
They're not friends.
They're not
Yeah.
friends.
So basically, what I'm saying is, the fact that information is at our fingertips,
Yeah.
mostly in the Western world, is good and bad, because the information is not necessarily factual.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
children can sometimes get caught up in that, thinking they know.
Yeah.
But do they really know?
So that's another dynamic, because even as grown-ups, we are dealing with a lot of misinformation and doctored information.
Right.
So I think that's a new dynamic that also has to be dealt with, because now, because of the ease of searching for things online,
Right.
you'll find like young people searching that these are the best 10. If you see these 10 things in him, it
Right.
means he's not your friend. Or if you see these
Right.
10 things, it means
Actually.
he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
And those things, there's so
Yeah.
many of those things online, and
Yeah.
children are interacting with them.
Actually,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
funny you
yeah.
say that, because you might,
Especially on Facebook.
you might have, for
Instagram.
example, let's say you have an idea where what schools or what
Yeah.
kind of career path
Yeah.
you do want your child to pursue. They go online and search things that are out of this world, and they'll come to you with some things you don't even know.
Yeah.
I want to pursue this.
Yeah.
Just as an example, so as a parent, now you're supposed to go and figure what is this,
You're supposed to go figure
Right.
it out.
and they think they know.
Yes. So we're living in very interesting times, but I want to remind out the listeners here that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We're here talking to Rehema's parents, Ginda and Lawrence Kihanya, on the struggles of being first-gen African parents in the U.S. Now, this is a follow-up to last year's episode on the culture conflict between first-gen parents and their kids, first-gen African parents and their kids, where we hosted Rehema and Jide. Now, Ginda and Lawrence are entrepreneurs who've lived in Baltimore for over 25 years and have raised 3 children, 2 of whom are now adults and are no longer living at home. Now, we'll shortly be asking whether African parents should expect strict obedience in the African way, or should they fully adopt the American parenting of mutual respect towards their kids. So stay tuned. Our lines are open. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Feel free to call in. And of course, tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of Money Sending Up Lemfi. The One Mic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code OneMic. If you can click on the link on YouTube or Facebook, this will go straight and you won't have to enter the code. And on the first transaction, it has to be at least $100. You will get $30
How much?
back. $100. Your first transaction has to be at least $100, and you will get $30
You
back.
should be opening with that. You have to send $100 to get the $30 back.
Right.
Now, have you downloaded it?
Not yet.
Okay, but you will be downloading it.
We can
I will.
we can
I
give her
will.
permission to use her
Yes.
Purple Rain phone right now.
okay.
Yeah, I will.
So, Sawa,
Yeah.
I want us to go into the topic of bullying and social integration because
Ali.
because this was a very big topic.
Ali,
This was a
bullying
very
tena.
big topic. Yeah, Rehema and Jide on the episode last year mentioned being bullied for the Afrocentric features and African names. Rehema father said that it was easier to digest racism from white kids than being mocked by fellow black peers. And I know this is something that the two of you had already addressed before. What was the difference with what you know now with what you were perceiving then when Rehema was telling you that she was being bullied? And she said this was mostly in middle school. She said middle school was the roughest and toughest part of her experience, like being raised in the US. What was your perception of it then, and what is it that you know now that you'll do different with Zoe?
That's a good question. And thank you for asking. As parents, we try our best to stay involved, communicate with our children, but unfortunately, bullying did happen. And bullying is continuing to happen to other children, other Rehemas who are in middle school. They're experiencing the same bullying that our Rehema experienced.
Yeah.
It may be more targeted toward girls, because Kihanya might have had mild bullying, but not as deep as Rehema experienced. And I think some of it, what really makes this sad for us, and it's been a year of processing this conversation, is, for her, she didn't feel comfortable sharing what was happening because she was, number one, she was scared, she was embarrassed, and she was also not very sure how to talk to us about the bullying that she was experiencing. She was scared, in her words, in the sense that if she tells mom or dad, I'm going to go marching in that school and I'm going to cause commotion, and then she'll be bullied more.
Yes, these two will do that.
I don't doubt it, though. I don't doubt that probably that would have been my first reaction.
No, we know. I know.
To go there and handle the bully, because
Yeah.
I believe that no child should be bullied.
100%.
Now, and I wish I had known sooner how much it affected her, because as a young girl, you're vibrant. I believe, you're 12. You think you're cute because you grew up with your parents saying, "Oh, Rehema, you're so, that's my baby. I love you. You're so pretty." And then you have this boy bullying you who also happens to be black, to even make it worse, telling you that your features, bullying you by your look or bullying you by your name, saying you're an African. It kind of messes with your psyche. Like, why is somebody who's like my brother bullying me? And to make sure that this doesn't happen, we've all discussed this conversation. I am not saying that it's not going to happen.
It will happen
to other kids. It will happen.
But
how is Zoe or my friends' kids who are the same age as Zoe, how are they going to handle it when it happens? Number one, we are empowering, and we have empowered Zoe to believe that she can talk to us. She can tell us anything. If someone is saying to you out there that she braided her hair, a little boy told her that she has a big forehead. And you know what I did? I told her when she sees the boy the next day, she needs to say the same thing. Pick a feature and tell him something.
Tit for tat.
Tit for tat. Now, some parents might disagree with me, but that put a stop to the bullying, because it was already affecting her. She was saying, "Mom, do I have a big forehead?" And I'm like, "No, you don't, Zoe. Why do you keep saying that?" Then she told us what this boy said. And I said, well, pick something that you don't really like about him and point it out. But don't bully. Just say, "Oh, you also have this and this." And so we give her words, empower her. So, for example, I told her, say, "You have this and this. I don't like it, but I'm not telling you in a mean way how you told me." Now, Zoe and that boy, they're friends. They play together. So I think bullying is a conversation that has to happen every day, ongoing. Talk to your child. Let them know what are the limitations. Don't let this person tell you that your hair is shaggy. Teach them to embrace who they are, the African in them, the natural hair that we have, the looks that we got, the big lips. People are getting Botox to have these big lips.
African lips.
Yeah. But yet a few years ago, people are being bullied for the same African lips.
Yeah.
So you have to teach your kids, and I believe that's what we are trying to do. We have to teach Zoe, the Zoes of this world, and the Zoes that are going to be born tomorrow. We have to teach them that being different is actually not a bad thing.